So Grandma, is this the kids' table or what? Do you normally have 2 tables?
I don't think we're going to have them. I don't think we have 3 tables.
Oh, have you had 3 tables at times? Oh, wow. Okay.
Any table on that is the kids' table.
Is the kids' table?
We started out doing this probably 30 years ago. When I was young, I mean like 20 years old, 21.
Yeah.
Me and Paul and some other cowboys, and we didn't have chutes. We just wrestled them down and tipped them over and ran them. We got beat up pretty bad. But then after Dad moved down here, we finally got chutes. No, we had chutes up there too. And it's been a long time, and we used to ride the bulls. After we branded, we would get some bulls in the pen and we'd ride them, and man, that was fun.
Yeah.
And Dad gave out belt buckles.
Okay.
Yeah, for if you won. We had entry fees and everything.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what was there any injuries to speak of over the
Paul took one in the barn. Went in like a low barn like that. Went in the barn, beat the shit out of him, and he came out, fell off. He was out for like a long time. We were kind of worried, but he came around. He's still kind of stupid from it.
He's come back year after year.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny.
We kind of quit after that. We said, man, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad that we don't do that anymore, because we've got some athletes that might not be able to play their sports anymore.
I bet he.
I'd like that.
I bet he could ride.
I know he would.
He could ride.
Yeah. I don't know what the back would look like afterwards.
But he's strong. He's strong.
Oh, I know. So what's maybe a favorite memory for, like, if you were doing this for Grandma and Grandpa, what would be a favorite memory?
Probably the favorite memory would be the first time we started branding. We had a ranch up in Guffey, Colorado.
Okay.
And it was a mountain ranch, and we had built corrals out of existing wood, and we just there'd be like me and Paul and 4 or 5 other young guys, and we would wrestle cattle all day long and get really beat up. I mean, bad. And that was the best times. The corrals were they weren't like this. In the mountains, it's all rock. So when you fell, it was just rock. And that's when we first started doing it. But the calves were a lot smaller then. Now the calves are big.
But you did it when they were.
Well, when Angus first came around 30 years ago, they were actually a pretty small cow. When Dad first got them, they were actually fairly small. But then they kept breeding them bigger and bigger. Now there's, like a Hereford's a big cow. Yeah. And the Angus used to be small, but now they're big. And so over the years they've gotten bigger.
When I first started, it would have been in 1982, 83. 1 year. So I wouldn't have had many memories there. But I started at the Hodgen Ranch. And then, I don't know, when did your dad get into Hodgen Ranch? Early 80s or 80?
Probably 80s, yeah.
Yeah, so right in that same time period. But that's when we would, after we branded, we would put a bunch of ear tags from the bulls, the numbers, in a hat, and you would put $5 into a pot. That helped pay for the belt buckle that Sam had made up so we would have a rodeo, and whatever ear tag number you pulled out of the hat, that's what animal you got to ride. So we would, those bulls or those would come into the chutes, and they would just take panels and squeeze them in kind of like a triangle, so you could get on them, and they would tie the rope around it, and they would always ask you if you wanted a single wrap or a suicide wrap, which meant
you'd stay on it.
Yeah. And so, but once you got on there, it was game on, you know, and that one year.
When you went in the barn?
I went in the barn, yeah, and came out. And came out. Rode all the way to the barn, came out, and Sam literally had his hand going down for the buzzer for the full 8 seconds, and I got bucked off, and his pins were as hard as concrete, so I landed flat on my back, and I couldn't move. There it was. Everybody kind of ran out and rescued me, and took a beating in the barn. Yeah.
No rodeo clowns.
No, well, these guys were the rodeo clowns. Yeah.
If you go in the barn, you're on your own.
Yeah, you go in the barn, you're on your own. Whatever. Yeah, right. Yeah. So, yeah, but that was then. What was it? A couple years later, we had a full-grown bull.
Big old boy.
He had a bunch of shaggy hair on him. I don't know what. I mean, he was an Angus bull, but I'm not sure why he had such shaggy hair. Sam knows about that, but we decided that we wanted to knock this thing down by hand and brand it.
It probably weighed 1,800.
Yeah, probably about 1,500 pound bull. Well, we should have ran him through the chute. He would have been a handful in the chute.
Yeah, sure.
So there was about a dozen of us guys. And we threw rope around the front legs, back legs, and then the head. And we had a game plan. We told everybody once the ropes hit and the ropes have tension on them, everybody's just got to come in and there's no turning back. Just get on top of it and knock it down. Well, that's when all you know what broke loose, and you got a couple broken ribs out of the deal.
Yeah, broken fingers.
Broken fingers, and then Bob.
That's how you become a cowgirl.
Bob got busted.
This would have been the guy that used to butcher for us.
Bob. Yeah, I can't think of his name.
Bob Epson?
Bob Epson was one of them.
He got kicked in the face, and he got cut open so bad you could see his cheekbone. His whole cheekbone was exposed. There were bodies all over the place. I mean, there was just people were. We did get this bull down. We did brand this bull. We won, but it cost. Everyone was bleeding or hurting or something bad happened on that deal. But
that would have been fun for Swilby and Case, and they would have enjoyed that.
I think even Daryl.
Daryl was there.
But Daryl. Daryl Weitzel.
Was he there?
Daryl Weitzel was there for that.
Could be. That's probably why we did it, because he's a crazy.
Yeah, Daryl Weitzel would have. This was way. I mean, this was back in the day.
Probably his idea.
It's probably no. I think it was yours and mine. But anyway, we had.
And Dad went along with it. So.
And Sam went along with it.
It's okay.
Yeah, he always thought we were nuts, but see, back in those days, we wrestled every calf down by hand. And we branded it that way. There was no chute, there was no calving table, there was no nothing.
So did they just carry the irons around, or you just tried to get them in the spot?
No, we were in a big,
in a corral.
A big corral. So, I don't know, distance-wise, I don't know.
From that tree to there.
Maybe 60 foot by 30 feet. Maybe 75 feet by.
Off to the side and kind of kept the cows from landing in the irons.
You just picked one out. And
they'd have a fire going, and they.
Cut off to the side.
I would always remember the irons coming through the slats on the fence. They would pass the irons through the slats on the fence. But we did pretty well knocking these calves down. But we'd always get some new guys that didn't know what they were doing. And Hollywood was a guy that worked for us, and that was his nickname.
He was a pretty boy.
He was a pretty boy, so we called him Hollywood.
So we got all done with the cows, and they said, "Hey, let's brand Hollywood." We knocked him down, and Dad had the irons, and right before Dad put the iron on, we stuck a shingle right in his butt.
Yep.
Dad branded his pants.
Yep. Yep.
He should have the terror in his face.
Yeah.
He thought, "Oh my God,
he was getting a real
they're actually gonna brand me."
Yeah.
Right through my pants.
Yep. Yeah.
He still remembers that.
But that.
So we put a draft SP right through his pants onto a shingle, a wooden shingle.
Right. It was rough because he had a lot more calves. We would do 40s and 50s.
oh wow.
40s and 50s by hand, and we kept noticing as Sam was doing better and better breeding. Each year they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and we kept.
Like the Guppy badge, they were small.
Right, you could knock them down no problem. You could manhandle them. 2 guys could win that battle every time. But then it got to the point where they were just getting so big to where we were just getting abused. We looked like rag dolls out there, you know. And
one that ran away today.
We would have knocked that down and branded a calf like that, but that would have been one where there'd be a story attached to it, because something would have happened. You know, it's just too big, too mean.
That one had a mind of its own today.
But we knew how to do it.
He was the one that was out there in the first place. That they brought in, and then they went out again.
Once you start knocking some of them down, there's kind of a rhythm to it. But the secret is once you get engaged, stay engaged. I watch some of the young guys. He does great, but some of the guys they'll push and then they'll kind of back off.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea, because now you're in that kicking zone. Okay, that's a bad place to be.
You need to be on it.
You need to be right up on them, right in their business, you know, and no backing off, and don't let them change their mind. Once you get them moving, keep them moving, but you know, it's the way we do it now is totally different.
Yeah,
so.
Oh,
The burning hair.
Well, and that'd be the difference too, because the guy on the back leg, holding the back leg, if the wind was right or wrong, it would you'd just get engulfed around your face and your nose, and then here come the second iron, then here come the third iron, and by the time the day was over, I remember you could smell that smell in your nose for days at work. You could still smell that smell. It just didn't go away, you know. But
it keeps bringing you back.
Everything changed today when me and Sam were standing there, and we both looked at each other and we like, where'd he come from? Sam goes, "You're hired." I said, "Give him a raise." Everything changed.
First thing when they were getting ready to brand, Dad walks up and says, "Hey, where's Casey?"
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, what's wrong with this picture?
We're doing a video.
Just a good old time to wrestle some cattle and have a good time with some family, I guess.
Where's your drink?
Yeah, how many years do you think?
6 to 8.
6 to 8 coming down. You're gonna have to give a story. Tell about your brother getting smacked, because that would be a fun memory too.
Getting kicked in the stomach.
Yeah.
So Grandpa Sam told Swolby not to jump down from the fence because he'll freak the calf out and he'll get kicked. Sure enough, he did. He jumped right behind him, got kicked in the stomach, and gave a big old ooh, and he got right on him and pushed him in real quick. He got all pissed off at him. And that was the last one he's done, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And how many have you done?
How many have I done? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. A lot.
So, like the week beforehand, what are you looking forward to coming down? I mean, why do you like coming?
It's a good time overall. Get to let out some aggression on some calves. Hang out with some good people, play some poker, shoot some guns, kill some dogs, prairie dogs. So
Kill some prairie dogs.
it's a good old time.
Yeah. Just give me your favorite memory, because you're a man of many words. What's your favorite memory? And then I'll let you be done.
Probably when I stole like $60 from Grandma Pauline in poker one night. Started out with a $5 pot, ended up ran away with $72. Most of it hers, so. Well, overall, but she kept growing into her person. She had a couple drinks and stuff, and so she just kept going back for more, and I was like, all right, I guess you just keep on doing it. I'll take your money. So that was a good time. Thanks for all the memories.
It's the other day it was like, oh, shit, this is actually the last one. It's kind of like he's been saying it for, you know, it's been 5-6 years now that it's always been the last one.
Yeah.
But this one, you know, he's places on the market. This is it. This is really it. So.
And how many years have you been involved?
Actively?
I mean, probably since
I can remember. Yeah. I mean, you know, all the way back when I was in Black Forest and watching, you know, dads and stuff wrestle. Actually, you know, it wasn't all shoots all the time. It was, they'd actually get in there and every single one would be wrestling and, you know, watching from afar and kind of just in awe, right? So it's been a lot of fun. And I mean, when I was growing up, I was always dreading it because it was always, I had bad hay fever. And so when I showed up on the ranch, it was and so there was a lot of times where I was in the house just like swollen and not being able to participate too much. But you know, those are a lot of the fun stories though. It was kind of just sitting back and looking at that, and you know, coming down here on our drive down here. Actually, remember I used to pull the boat, my parents' boat, and we'd go water skiing after and having fun. And so yeah, I mean it's gonna be weird, you know. That second Saturday in June it's a staple of my life for 35 years. And next year I don't know what I'm gonna do. But
any message for Grandpa and Grandma? Just
is the vodka in there?
Oh man,
Vodka's above the stove.
Favorite memories is, you know, Grandpa's gotten soft in his old age, but it always, you know, that was a lot of fun growing up. And he didn't believe in hay fever, so he'd always make me get in there and kind of helped shape who I am today. And a lot of it's because of him. So it's and Grandma for always being around and yelling at us and feeding us, although somehow I've turned into a cook recently, so she just sits around and so no, it's been amazing, and it's a lot of changes over the years, but it's always been fun. It's always been something I look forward to. It's sad that I have a little boy coming in August and not going to be able to experience it, but it'll be fun to look back on.
Well, that's what you can give him this, you know.
Oh yeah, so yeah.
Well, thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, I was just kind of curious of how this started and how it got to being up here. Because the boys were telling me about kind of the rodeos and some of the crazy stuff that they ended up doing.
Yeah, we had started in 1971 up in Guffey, Colorado, up in the mountains.
Yeah.
I had a ranch up there, and we hauled cows up there and run them all summer. And we'd get together and have branding, and most all of these guys have been there. I don't think they've ever missed a branding. And yeah, he won a belt buckle wild cow riding, and Brad won one because we had after we got done branding, then we had the wild cow riding contest.
I'm glad you don't do that now because I know Kaysen would try it.
Well, he'd probably be good at it.
He'd probably get tossed.
Well, that's part of it. You're riding a wild cow, there's only one way to get off.
Yeah.
That's hit the ground.
That's true. That's true. But I don't want him to break.
No, I don't either. Well, he playing football would be as rough as what he would be riding a cow.
Yeah. He's pretty good at it though.
Yeah, he's a linebacker for Western State College. Oh yeah, he loves it. You can tell he's. Oh yeah.
Well, you could tell that the cows were coming through different when he showed up today.
Oh yeah, he powered them in, and these other guys were a little scared. You know, they just they'd never been around anything like this. Some of Tracy's boyfriend and Erica's boyfriend, they'd never seen anything like this, so this is a first for them.
So do you have any crazy memories over the years? Just of...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we always had some dude come up, you know, that wanted to try it.
Okay.
And this one guy, Les, I can't remember his last name, but he owned the lumber yard there in Colorado Springs, El Paso County Lumber.
Okay.
Les DeWitt.
And Les DeWitt. And he kept telling me, could I tackle one of those little ones by myself? And I said, well, they're pretty wiry. He said, oh, yeah, but I'm just going to get that littlest one. He'd be all right. And I said, okay, go ahead. So I heard this god-awful wrestling match, and pretty soon I looked, and that calf, they were rolling, and his hat was all smashed. He bought a brand new straw hat, and it smashed it to pieces. And the last thing I seen, that calf ran right up his back and jumped over his head. And he came out of there, and he had a cigarette, and it was bent off to the side. And He said, my God, he says, I never dreamed they were that tough, strong. I said, I told you. He said, yeah, but I picked the smallest one. I said, well, you should have picked the tamest one. But we had, oh gosh, I can't remember all the, well, I can remember him riding, and he got thrown off, and he lit on his butt from about as high as that tent is there. And done something, I don't know what it did, jammed him up.
Jammed me up good.
So the girls were babying him and he was eating it up. They put him in the hot tub and rubbed him down. He was really bad off then when they were babying him.
Oh, it hurts more.
Yeah.
Right.
But
That's funny.
yeah, we had a big bull that I had bought, big red. It was a big Simmental red white-faced bull before I got into the registered business. And I said, we got to get him branded. And they said, well, can we tackle him? I said, sure. So we had about, what, 8 or 10 guys on him? And I got to looking, and there was 8 guys on this side and 8 guys on the other side, and they kept trying to tip him. I said, everybody on this side, because we're just lifting him off the ground. So my brother-in-law, Carl Vance, he had bought a brand new cowboy hat. And he was so proud of that. And everybody got around on the other side of that bull, and we heaved him, and when he went down, Carl's hat fell, and that bull crushed that hat. We got him branded. The next thing I seen Carl go to the house. Geez, that's $150 for this hat. It's all ruined.
That was good stuff. I forgot about Carl's hat. I forgot all about that.
And then we branded buffalo. We ran buffalo for a while. And we had people were sitting on the fence, just didn't realize how them things are. I mean, you get them excited and they're tearing stuff up.
Yeah.
So they were sitting there and we were going to run him through the chute and I was going to brand him. And I told the guys, I said, buffalo coming in, watch out. And they didn't pay no attention to me. Here that buffalo came, man, the boards was flying, the dust was screaming, hit that chute. And it hit it so hard it went through and caught her by the butt. Oh. We had a heck of a time getting her loose from that. And I branded her while we still had her caught by the butt. She was pretty wild, but we got her shot and got her branded. And we had to take the chute apart because the chute went inside out. Instead of the gates flying out, they
went the other way.
They went the other way and caught her by the hips, and that's how she couldn't get loose. And after she fought it a while, she gentled down a little bit. She knew she wasn't going to get away, so we branded her and vaccinated her and took the chute apart and got her out and put it all back together. And they're all sitting on the fence. I said, buffalo coming. Man, they all jumped and scattered.
They can be taught.
Oh, yeah. It didn't take long.
So how would somebody who has buffalo typically brand them other than just
like we did the cows?
Okay.
Same way, run them in.
Yeah.
Try to secure them, but they're different,
just tougher.
Just a faster head man.
Oh, yeah, you got to have a brave, fast head man.
And their heads are huge.
Because they come in, and
wow.
And you have to catch them because their head is so big that when they get their head through, their body will go right with it, just.
Oh yeah, behind that head is not much.
Yeah, I was just gonna say they narrow down.
They narrow down quick.
Yeah. But we didn't have any buffalo riding. Couldn't talk anybody into that.
Shit, no.
Yeah. You might have had less workers the year next.
Yeah, that might have been another story.
Yeah, no kidding.
Broke up by a buffalo.
So what's been tougher, the older cows or the Angus seem like they're typically pretty tame, aren't they?
They're docile. My cows are. Yeah. They're not all like that, but
you train them though.
Well, I don't actually train them. It's how you take care of them.
Yeah.
Because I've had guys come and go out there and look at wanting to buy a bull or something, and they're out there walking around and, man, these cows are really tame. I said, yeah, they're pretty gentle, and all once he turned around and one of them was sniffing his butt, and he went around, smacked that poor cow, and she just shrunk back like, wow. I said, now I can see why you don't have gentle cattle, you treat them like that. Well, I didn't want her smelling me. Well, So I've had some nasty ones through the years. I can remember one year we were calving up there above Monument, and there was a blizzard, and this stupid cow, instead of having the calf in the barn, she went clear up on top of this ridge where the snow was just blowing and sifting, had that calf, and we called her Old Bitch because she was nasty. So she had the calf, and I kept watching it. You know, he was trying to get up, and finally he just got so chilled it couldn't get up. You know, so I told Pauline, I said, we're going to have to go up and get that calf. She says, well, I don't like to do stuff like that. I said, you get in the truck, and I'll let the tailgate down. We'll get up there, and you back up. I'll grab the calf and yank it up in the pickup, and we'll take it to the house and get it warmed up. Oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I said, just do what I tell you. Well, she's going to get you. And I said, no, she's not. So I got up in the back of the truck, and she backed up. And I reached down and got the calf, and I yanked him up in there. And here she comes. She was trying to get up in the back of the pickup. And I said, go, Pauline, go. And she firewalled that sucker and hit a big snowdrift. Stuck. I said, oh, no. So I shut the tailgate, left the calf in there. I had to run down to the house, get some blankets, and come back and brought the tractor back to pull her out of the snowdrift. I told you I'm no good at this. And I said, I know. We'll get it done. Don't worry about it. So we got the calf in, warmed it up. We had a big. Did you see that sun porch we had on the ranch up at? Oh. No, we had a big glass sun porch. Okay. We'd take those calves in and warm them up in there.
Oh, wow.
Then once they got warmed up and dried out good, we'd take them back out to the cow. But so that was a pretty thrilling day. I could have done without.
So I'm kind of curious about how many other animals other than the cows that have come through in the years. You've had some interesting ones, I think.
Oh yeah, we went one time. Her Uncle Willie had some mouflons. You know what they are?
No.
So they look like a bighorn sheep. You know, got the big long horns.
Yeah.
And he had a slug up, and he said, you come up and I'll give you some. And I said, oh, okay. So we took the trailer up, set a couple of panels up to run them in the trailer, and these mouflons all backed up in a corner. And they're just staring at us, you know, like stones. And I said, well, okay, we'll just kind of get around and shush them in there. Well, these sheep are watching us, and we're getting up close to shush them. And they took off and jumped right over our heads. They must have been 30 feet in the air when they went over our heads.
They weren't even scared of you.
No, that one jumped so far and so high, he went clear out of the pen.
Jeez.
Oh, I never seen anything like that in my life. And he raised a bunch of buffalo too, but he said he had too many of those mouflons. He wanted to get rid of them. I closed the trailer up and said, so we'll see you later. I don't need anything like that.
And didn't you have a bird down here?
Oh yeah, I had a Tweety bird, they called him.
Oh yeah.
And the neighbor gal had a big rainstorm, and he fell out of the nest, you know, over there. And she had a softest heart in the world. She went and got that little bird, dried him out and put it under her arm and slept all night with him. And woke up the next day and he was wanting something to eat. So he was chirping, so she went out, and you can find crickets about anywhere, you know, roll over a log or tip over a fence post or anything, there's crickets in there. And she'd give him them crickets, feed him. Well, they got called for a job in, I think it was Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
He was a weapons specialist, you know, he worked on jet fighter weapons, guns and stuff like that. So they contracted to go over there, and she says, well, would you take Tweety? And I said, well, I really didn't want to. But I said, okay, I'll take Tweety. So I brought Tweety home, and I kept him in the house, and I went out every day, you know, I'd get a little jar full of crickets and feed him to him, and he was boisterous. Kingbird, you know, kingbirds are loud, mouth little birds. And I told her, I says, well, you know, once he gets to flying good, I'm going to take him out and put him out. And she said, oh, he'll get hurt. And I said, well, You know, he needs to go back to wild. That's the only way I know. So I'd bring him out and he'd fly up the tree and sit up there and watch me for a little bit. Pretty soon he'd fly right back down and get on my shoulder and start chirping his head off. And I'd say, okay. So I'd go roll over a log and 2 or 3 crickets. Man, he'd jump down on that log and scream his head off, you know. He wouldn't grab no cricket, but he wanted me to get him. So I'd get him and feed him to him. And so I had him here for most of the summer, and I had some kingbirds nesting back around that big cottonwood behind us here, and they were nasty to him, you know. He couldn't cotton up to them. But he tried. And so I'd take him in at night, and he'd roost on the curtains in there.
Oh, wow.
And Pauline came down, and she kind of looked like Lisa, you know, the woman that had him. And Tweety came down and landed right on her head, and she's screaming, he's going to crap down my neck. He's going to crap. Well, guess what? I said, oh, he ain't. Guess what?
He did.
He did. And she's not an animal person, you know. She claims she loves stuff, but she pet him a little bit, and that's it, you know.
Yeah.
So anyway, he got to spending more time and more time outside, and I'd take him in at night. And then finally one night he didn't come in. And I looked and hunted and hollered, because usually if he was close and could hear me, he'd come down. So I went to bed and I thought, I don't like it. He's either dead or he's left. And one day we were over to neighbors, baling some hay, and we got out, and that's about 1.5 miles over there. And I looked up on the Highline power line going through there, and there's 3 little kingbirds sitting under there. It says, Tweety, is that you? Boom, lit right on my shoulder.
Oh, wow.
That was unbelievable.
Oh, that is.
So I turned over a bale of hay and got him a couple crickets, you know, and away he went, and that's the last I ever seen him in my life.
Huh. Wow. That's a hell of a story. That's
yeah.
I mean, that is great.
Yeah. It's hard to believe, but I got pictures of him someplace.
Yeah.
We didn't take any film of him, but pictures.
Huh. That's awesome.
And then we had a wild hog moved in, took over here. I had hay ground out there by the feed bunk. And it was night, and I was going ahead with my flashlight, and I was going out to check the cows, see if anything was having a calf. It was cold. I got right out to that thing, and all of us, woof, woof, woof. He come out, made a bed inside that ground hay. Come out and spooked me, and I shined it, and it was this pig. Looked like he was half wild and half, what do you call this?
Oh, they got those, what do they call those pigs? The mustard?
No, those little pot-bellied pigs.
Pot-bellied pigs, yeah.
I think he was part that and part wild. But anyway, they tried to pin him up. There were several people I talked to later said they had him pinned up, and he dug a hole under the ground and got away and took off. He didn't want to be pinned up. And he got out, and I had that bull, Sodbuster.
Oh, yeah.
And that pig took up with Sodbuster. An old Sodbuster, I got some film of that in there. He'd be laying on the ground, and this pig would get up and put his feet on top of him. And loved that big bull. That sucker weighed over a ton, but he liked that bull. And at first, the cows were knocking him around. You know, he's just a little salty little devil. And he'd square off, boy, and those cows would try to get him, and woof, woof, he wouldn't have none of it.
Holy shit.
So he was here for, oh gosh, I don't know how long. But the cows got used to him, you know, and heck, he'd wander out with him, and he stuck close to that bull because he liked him. And one day I was gone, came home, and I had some chickens, and I see feathers drifting along the yard here. And there was a pack of damn dogs come in and got after my chickens, and they took off that pig and run him off. And I didn't see him for the longest time. And finally, I was over at the restaurant having coffee, and somebody mentioned that wild pig, and this guy that owned the feedlot had said, yeah, I shot him. I said, what? He says, yeah, he's out there messing with my cows, and I just shot him. Oh, God, that made me sick.
He was probably playing.
Well, he was used to cattle, you know. He was used to being around cattle.
Right. Right.
And the guy up here, he had some hogs, and he put him with the hogs, and he didn't want nothing to do with them. He liked the cows. So that was a sad story.
Yeah.
But the Tweety story, I seen kingbirds come and sit up here, and I kept calling them, you know, and I'd see, and this was a year or so later, and I'd see him cocking his head like he knew, but he was afraid to come down, because you know they migrated down to Mexico. And
oh wow, so he probably had a whole trip?
Yeah, oh yeah, he had a whole trip, and he finally buddied up with those kingbirds, and they all went together. So, and usually they come back to nest in the same place every year. And that light pole out there, they was nested in that light pole. And just a female and a male, they'd raise a little batch of birds every year in there.
Well, at the other ranch, you had that turkey. Was your buddy?
Oh yeah, Henry.
Henry?
You were friends with him.
Henry, yeah. I had a ranch leased over south of, you know where Pinello's dump used to be there on Blaney Road?
I don't.
You go out 94 up to Blaney and turn south, and we had that ranch right there where we run cows.
Okay. Out by Schriever?
No,
not that far.
Not that far. Kind of by that motorcycle track.
Oh. You know when you go down over there and then you go up that big hill, and right at the top there's Blaney Road. You go south, and that's where that ranch was. And Pauline said it's all full of houses now. I can't hardly believe that. But
I can't believe that either.
Anyway, she had a milk cow there, and she wanted to know if it'd be all right if she let it out and let my bull breed it. And I said, well, okay. So when he got the job done, she came, she gave me this little turkey. So I took him home. I baby all kinds of animals. Took that turkey home, and we named him Big Henry. And he used to roost out in the barn. I put up a kind of a tuba for there so he could jump up on there and roost. Well, he did that for years, and then he got so big, he must have weighed 50 pounds. Big, you know, and he couldn't get up on there. And he used to stand around the edge of the barn, and as soon as I'd come out of the house, okay. So I'd go out and get him and sit him up on that roost, and he'd back and forth like that. Then he'd look at me, yeah, I got her, you know, go ahead. And he got so bad, you know, he'd even gobble. I could hear him when I'd get up in the morning. He'd hear I was up, and he'd gobble crazy, you know. So I'd go out and get him down.
Oh, God.
And he knew my truck. I had that old diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And he'd hear when I was coming home from work, he'd hear that diesel coming. He'd run clear out the road, and I had to watch him because he'd get right in the front, you know, and just puff all up and go. You know how they do them turkeys.
Yeah.
Parade. And we had branding. And Steve had this friend. What the heck was his name, Brad? I can't remember what his name was. But he was a wimp.
Yeah.
Anyway, he fell in a cow pie and went to the house, and Pauline was washing his clothes, so he borrowed my house coat. He went out to that house coat, and that turkey fell in love instantly and took after him. And I was out there, and I heard, Mr. Fife, get your turkey. And he had him running. He's sitting up on the crawl pole, you know, he's afraid to get down. That turkey was all puffed up, gobbling and walking around out there. And he done fell in love with that kid, so I had to go get Henry and get him down off in there.
Oh, shit.
So he was really friendly. Pauline's nephews and nieces came out, and this one Timmy, we were up looking, and they were checking, you know, they were petting him, and I said, don't get too close because he'd, you know, pick your eye.
Yeah.
So he was up there petting him and started to run down the hill, and he fell. Mistake. Henry mounted him. Oh, he was screaming and hollering. I finally got Henry off of him.
Oh, my God.
Henry loved everybody.
Yeah, he'd follow me clear to the house till I went in the house, and he'd turn around and go back out, get him a drink, and get in the shade. But as soon as any activity, he was right up and right in the mix of things. But one day I came home, sad ending, and I was out doing something, and I got in the pickup and started to take off, and I had this white goose named Sly. Him and Sly became buddies, this turkey and this goose. And they went everywhere. Pauline's dad was living with us, and he used to take a walk every day, and that goose and that turkey went with him. And he'd go down along the road there, and people stopped one day and says, you know, everybody I seen walking got some kind of a pet or a dog or something. He says, this guy's got a goose and a turkey going with him. Well, anyway, I was in the yard there one day and doing something. I jumped the truck, took off, and he was right in front of me. I ran over him. And it didn't kill him, you know. He was busted him all to pieces. And Sly the goose was going crazy. I mean, he went nuts. So I had to destroy Henry, and that goose hated me ever since. But that was just one of those funny farm stories.
Yeah.
Then, of course, we had Heidi the goat.
I remember the goat.
Yeah. And she was a character. She had a piece of plywood out by the branding chute, and that was hers. I mean, you didn't get on there. She'd knock you goofy. And of course, we called her the Cookie Monster because she could eat cookies faster than anything you've ever seen in your life. I mean, just like that Cookie Monster in the she could eat cookies just like that. Anyway, Pauline gave Jason 2 cookies and says, this one's yours and this one's Heidi's. Well, mistake. She went out and down there, and then she took his. This Grandma, Heidi ate my cookie. So she came out and tried to correct Heidi. No, but anyway, he came out and Jason didn't. He got on this piece of plywood. And that goat got over and got her head right in his chest. And she didn't let him have it, but she was pushing him off in there, and Pauline liked to have the big one. Because she wouldn't tolerate nobody on that piece of plywood. I tried to throw her off of it. Get her by the horns and try to throw her off.
No way.
No way.
God.
You never seen Heidi?
I do remember Heidi, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we finally, Pauline got bad feelings. She was eating the leaves off the pine trees. You know, what she could reach, eating the needles off, because they can process about anything, eating pine needles. So she had to go, so I took her out to Jim Day. You know, he raised goats.
Oh, yeah.
Gave her to Jim, and he said she wouldn't even socialize with the goats. She wanted to be with people. You know, raised, and because she was just a little stinker when I got her. And I got her from that same guy that gave me the turkey. He moved and left the goat there. I said, aren't you going to take this goat? And he said, nope, don't want her.
Oh, boy.
So I got her and threw her in a pickup and took her home.
Wow.
Had her for years.
That's funny. I forgot about the goat. I kind of did.
Yeah. Wasn't there a bunny down here, or a guinea pig, or?
And I had a baby rabbit.
Yeah, right.
Hooper. And your daughter.
Was it Marla or Tenley?
No, the older one.
Oh, Riley.
Riley, yeah. She was just a young girl. And I kept him in the house. And he stayed in there and he'd hide during the day under the furniture. And when somebody come, you know, pretty soon he'd come sneaking out of there. There's a rabbit there. And I said, yeah, I know, it's just a little cottontail. Because the dog brought it when it was just barely getting hair and dropped it on the front porch. And it was freezing to death. You know, I did the same thing. I learned a lesson from Lisa. Put him under my arm, got him warmed up. Went down and got this little animal bottles, you know, and gave him milk, and I raised him on a bottle. And he stayed in the house there for a long time, but he started getting some age on him. But anyway, when Riley was here, you know, she was out there and giving them carrot sticks, and boy, he'd eat carrot sticks faster than you could shove them in there. And he loved lettuce. And he finally, when he started getting older, he'd jump up in the windowsill, you know, and look outside.
Pine for the old.
Walking back and forth in the windowsill. And I ignored it, you know, he was my buddy. And he'd come out and he loved peanuts, you know, anybody'd come sit and I'd give him a bowl of peanuts and they'd hand him a peanut and he'd stand up on his hind legs and eat that peanut. Les, he just loved him. And he finally got tired of wanting outside, so one day I went in and he dug a hole in the carpet right there by the door. Wow. Wanting out. So I overlooked that, and then he chewed up my TV cables and phone cable. And I said, okay, I got it.
Yeah.
Took him out behind there, and there's a bunch of fence posts and a lot of rabbits out there. Turned him loose. He never came back to me.
He said, yo, it's time to go out.
Yeah, his time.
Yeah.
Yep.
Riley fed him, and she was amazed. A lot of people were, just.
Riley's a little bit of a city girl.
Well, she wasn't when she was down here.
No, that's true.
She is now.
That's good.
Yeah.
No, it's been fun coming down to branding. My kids have enjoyed it a lot.
Well, that's good. I enjoy having them. Anybody has a good time, it's fine with me if we get a little help out of the deal. They have a blast, and I get my work done.
Yeah, at the cost of.
And I enjoy it. I mean, it's not painful at all for me. I like it.
Yeah.
I love seeing those kids getting in there and getting after it. And that Cason, man, what a horse he is.
Isn't that the truth?
Oh, yeah. I kept looking. I said, well, where's Cason? And these other guys were green, they didn't know what to do. Oh, he did. He took over, man. Boom! I said, who in the hell was that? I didn't realize it was Cason. Yeah, he grabbed him, pretty much shoved him through the chute out there. I said, who the hell is that? I don't know who it is, but hire him.
Yeah. He loves it.
Yeah, he does.
Everything changed from that moment. Yeah.
Well, we used to be like that when we was kids.
Oh, sure.
And like I said, bull riding, steer riding, cow riding stuff.
Well, he likes to run into stuff, so this is just perfect.
Yeah, it's just, if you can crash into stuff, being a linebacker, that's a normal thing.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Well, he missed it a little bit because he was recovering from shoulder surgery, so.
Oh, he had shoulder surgery? Oh.
He did, yeah. He had 6 anchors in the labrum, which is the part that holds your shoulder into the socket.
Oh.
It's that little small membrane that goes all the way around. It was 180-degree torn, so about half. And so he got 2 in the front and 4 in the back. If you, I'm trying to think, it's like a wall anchor you'd stick in the wall to put a picture in.
Yeah, the molly.
Yeah, basically it's a molly bolt that goes into your bone, and then they just have a suture that puts that thing down, and then
there forever?
Then it heals. It's probably got like a dissolving suture or something. I don't know about the bolts themselves.
Oh, that's what I mean, but they'll leave them.
They don't go back in to take it out.
Oh, okay.
But anyway.
Oh, can he play like that?
Stable now, probably. But
what did he do? Hit somebody?
I don't know. I mean, when you hit something and you put a lot of force going out the back, that's probably what happened. Is you get a tear, and then he had some in the anterior part.
Hitting something pretty hard.
Yeah, but I think he had some of that going on even as early as junior high and high school, because he said in high school he could like push the shoulder out.
Oh.
So he probably was at 65-70% in high school.
Gotcha.
And so everybody that knows how he's played in the past says, well, shoot, if we get an 80 to 90% Cason, it'll be kind of fun. So, so hopefully it'll help out a lot. But
is he a senior this year?
No, he's only going to be a redshirt sophomore next year.
Sophomore.
Yeah, 2nd year eligibility. But it's so funny, he's not cleared for contact yet. And you guys were probably eyes forward, but the one that did eventually get out jumped up in the corner, and he lit into it with his shoulder. It wasn't the one that was repaired. And so he wasn't necessarily, he was kind of doing the Brad Fife method of staying off stuff.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Makes sense.
Oh, he lit into that thing.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it, but I've got a slow motion of him pushing one through that doesn't end up going. It turns back on him, but it's just right there. It's really a neat video from a number of years back.
Oh, wow. I'd like to see some of your stuff.
I'll have to.
How would you?
They're on YouTube. I just have to get an email from you, and I'll link it to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Oh, because the kids did a great job with narrating through. Kai, I wired him up, and we were following him around, and he's explaining everything, and he
did really good.
Goes up and you know, introduces the bull. Oh, that one was fun.
Before we leave.
Okay,
I'll
yeah.
give you my email.
I think you'll like it.
I would love it. Yeah, that'd be great.
Because he's a born narrator.
Yeah.
Oh, he is. And then
that's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, we got people pushing stuff through the branding process. The whole, if that's all we had done, it would have given a pretty good idea of how it happened here.
Sure.
Not necessarily historically. That's what we were kind of trying to do today is, you know, over the 30 years, kind of what's the special memories.
Do you have anything from the, I mean, you got pictures maybe from the old days, or you got anything?
Yeah.
I'd like to scan some of that to put it into
video of any of that stuff, or probably not? I don't know.
No, nobody filmed it. I was always too busy, and Pauline
right, yeah.
couldn't do nothing right. She's got the trees, and then she got the ground, and can't concentrate. But we got snapshots and stuff.
Not that bull down.
Yeah, I was going to say, I may have to get with Chris and see.
I don't know where they are. If she probably don't remember where they are either.
I think there's pictures of that bull. Yeah. I think I remember seeing something.
Oh, these guys were talking about the bull that stopped the school bus.
Oh, the buffalo.
Oh, the buffalo.
Or the buffalo.
Big Jake.
Yeah.
Jake the buffalo.
Yeah, he got right in the middle of the road, right on the yellow line. He had cars stopped from both ways. And this one guy comes and says, "Is that your buffalo up there?" Pauline says, "Yeah, why?" He says, "Well, he's out in the middle of the road and he's got traffic stopped and he won't let anybody by. Because every time they try to drive up there, boy, he'd start shaking his head and they panicked."
Yep.
He says, "Well, can't you do something?" She says, "I'll have to call my husband. He's the only one who can handle him." So I got down there and I went to the house, got a 5-gallon with, about a quarter full of range cake. And I'd shake it, and they'd love that. And I'd just hand them, going down the road, I'm leading them down the road and feeding them this range cake. So one lady went by and says, "You're crazier than hell." I said, "Oh, it's all right." So I lead them all the way back. Well, what happened is we got a big snowstorm that drifted over the fence, and they just walked over the fence. And he got out in the middle of the road and said, "That's it, boys, you ain't coming this way." Big Jake.
God, he was big. Oh, he was huge. Huge.
And you think they're big, dumb critters. But Daryl Weitzel, a friend of mine, he came out, and Big Jake was standing there, and we were on the other side of the corral, and I was handing him cake, and Daryl says, "Can I do that?" And yeah, he was handing him cake while he ran out of cake, and he had his glove, one of those yellow gloves. Stuck that in his mouth, and that bull went berserk, man. Daryl was running, dove over the top of the fence and got away from him. And it was like a year later. He went out to see me. He said, "I don't think that buffalo likes me." I said, "Oh, he's forgotten that." Wrong. He didn't forget that. He took after Daryl. He says, "I told you. I told you." That's why I didn't know that, elephants got a big memory, but I didn't know this buffalo had it. Yeah. He did. He didn't forget.
Huh.
And then he did kind of the same thing. School buses would come by and let kids off there. He was standing out in the road, and right where the bus was supposed to go, and so the bus driver had to haul him up to somebody else's house, because they were afraid. And I was at work. So I get home, put him in. You don't take a horse and run him. Mistake. Because they go berserk, and boards and fence and wood and everything else flies. Anyway, we had a great big light pole down at the end of the place there where you turn up Thompson. And one day the light company, Vanessa had a sign made on there. It says, "If you can't make it to across this fence in 9.9 seconds, you're in trouble because this bull can do it in 10. This buffalo can do it in 10. I don't know how many people I've seen cars stop and stand with that sign getting their picture taken. And we had buses of tourists from Germany and Australia and every place else come to look at those buffalo, and they'd stop. And what worried me was they kept picking grass, and giving them grass. See that bull shaking his head, and I said, "Jesus, I'd have to run there and break it down there and break it up. Don't do that." Well, anyway, light company come pulling in there one day and said, "What can we do to get down there and change that light pole down there?" And I said, "Oh, whoa, what's the matter with it?" He said, "Well, your buffalo ruined it." And I said, "What?" I said, "You're kidding." He said, "No. You seen where beavers chew in, you know, these poles, and it's about that big around. Well, he hooked all that stuff with his horns because they got a lot of nervous energy.
Oh, sure.
And he had that hook down where it was about that big around. That thing was like that. And I said, oh, what's this going to cost me? He said, nothing. He says, we replace these all the time. So he replaced it, and then he built a big fence around it so he couldn't get at it. And that buffalo down there, man, he was hot. I thought he was going to tear that fence down and get into it.
Yeah.
And later on, the old timer told me, he says, they have a lot of nervous energy, and what he did, he raised them, is he'd take 2 light poles, set them, and then he'd get a log chain and get one of these great big rubber tires off of one of these big machines and hang it in there. And he says, man, they stood out there and beat on that thing all day.
Wow. That'd be fun to watch.
But I had that big tank.
They're big, 6 foot tall.
Had that big 8-foot tank, and I'd fill that full of water. And he'd go and hook his horn, you know, there's a rim runs around there. Hook his horn into that and just floop, 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 and water going out. Oh, Jake, damn you, get out of there. And he'd bump, 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 prance around out there in a circle. As soon as I went to the house, he's right back there hooking it while it was time to eat. And he had no patience, boy. When it was time to eat, he'd tear stuff up if you didn't get out there and feed him.
That's a lot of weight, that big old thing.
Oh.
Yeah, and you'd think nothing in the world could whip him. Wrong. You remember that little black Galloway bull I had, that little one with the long hair?
Oh, yeah, little guy.
Oh, yeah.
What was his name? Louis?
I don't know.
He gave them to me, those 2 cool cows. Willie.
Willie?
Well, yeah, he gave me those 2 cows, and they had calves. Well, this one of them was a little bull calf.
Yeah.
And I kept him. And I kept him in the corral. You know, he got to be, oh, I don't know, he's a year and a half old or so. Kept him in the corral because him and that buffalo kept squaring off. And I said, boy, you don't want to get out with that buffalo.
Yeah.
And one night, the buffalo got the gate open, and they went at it. And that buffalo would hit him and slide him from here to that car. And he'd back off and shake his head, and that buffalo was over there hooking him, you know, and he'd shake, and as soon as that bullet hit him and slide that buffalo about 10 feet backwards.
Jesus.
And it was just getting dark, and I said, oh, God damn, I can't break it up. I tried to. And
wow.
I finally went to the house and said, well, you know, he's probably going to kill that bull. There ain't nothing I can do about it. So I went back out just after it got dark, and right up on the hill, you could kind of see skyline. And here's this little Galloway bull butting this buffalo in the ass, and I mean, that buffalo was leaving. He was needing some relief from that stupid little I said, I can't believe that. And after that, when I'd feed him and that buffalo ate out of the same pile.
No.
Compadres. Yep.
Oh, my.
So he gained the respect for the big.
Yeah, he whooped his butt. I couldn't believe it. I didn't think anything could whip that big buffalo. But he just closed his eyes, and that buffalo gave him everything he had, and as soon as he relaxed, wham, he'd lay into him.
Holy crap.
Talking about persistence.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. That's impressive.
Oh, yeah. Can learn a lot from farm animals.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people think they're stupid, but they're not. I mean, they're just different level of intelligence. Like a dog, really smart, Keno.
Oh, geez.
That was the smartest dog I ever had in my life. He came to the house one day, and we had a bunch of ducks. We started out with about 4 ducks and wound up with 400 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I mean, every time they come out from under a wood pile or something, they had 8 little babies following them, you know. And I had to build a little pond.
Yeah.
And they'd hit that pond. And I'd go out there at night, you know, when they got time to roost and go to bed. And here'd be one duck with about 50 babies under, and then all these others running around quacking, trying to get their babies. And they're all diving under this one. But anyway, Keno came to the house, and he kept barking at me, and he liked to, you know, have you throw a ball and he'd run chasing. And I thought that's what he wanted. He kept bugging me. He'd run out towards this. I had a stack of 2x4s out there with some visqueen over it. And he kept running out there, and I thought maybe the ball went under that. I said, I don't have time. Well, a couple of days later, I went out there, and here this duck had stuck his head through a hole in that visqueen and couldn't get out. He was dead, of course, when I found him. But that's what he's trying to tell me. Smart dog.
God. He was a great dog.
I was working on the roof on one of those barns, and I climbed up the ladder, and I was replacing some shakes or something. I don't remember what it was, but anyway, I'm working on that, and pretty soon I heard something bump me in the butt, and that dog had climbed up that ladder right behind me, on top of that barn. And Pauline's dad come out of the house and he said, "Well, Keno, what the hell are you doing up there?" No, Keno made a jump for it. He hit the ground, and I thought it killed him. He got up and kind of gimped around. He was all right. The hell?
Jumped about 20 feet.
Wow. Yeah. Couldn't believe it.
I liked Queenie.
Yeah, she was different.
She just wanted her way in.
Wasn't that the one you ran over?
Yeah, the one I hit in the head and knocked her eye out.
Yeah.
But before that, before that, there was a lot of good times.
Brilliant.
Okay? She was that dog could run and run and run, and she'd go jump in that water and then run some more. Wow. That dog.
She about got me killed.
Oh, jeez.
Riding this horse I bought from sale out there, and I was riding him out there, and I relaxed, I was just riding through the cows, and for whatever reason, she run and grabbed that horse by the hind hock, and that sucker threw me as high as that tent there. And I lit on the ground, and I just laid there, and it knocked the fire right out of me, And I finally come to my senses, and the horse was standing there waiting on me. Mistake. I got those reins I got on him, and I rode that sucker for hard as I could for 30 minutes. He was just wringing wet. But every time I got on that horse, he was like this, and he'd run into stuff, and he's worried about that dog grabbing him by the hocks.
Holy shit.
So I sold him to had an ad in the paper, and some guy from down here in the canyons come up and said he needed a horse. And he looked at him and said, "Man, that's a really nice horse." I said, "Yeah, it is." And he says, "Can I ride him?" I said, "Yeah, get on him." So I had a hold of Queenie, He rode him all over, and he said, "Well, he's broke to ride." He says, "I'll take him."
Yep.
But he needed a big horse for riding in those canyons, big stout horse. So he took him, never heard anything from him. But he was spooked with that dog around.
It's amazing, their memories.
Oh.
Well, didn't Queenie live with the cows for a while?
Yeah. Somebody dumped her off, and she lived with the cows, and we couldn't get near her. And I felt sorry, so I had a hay barn up on top of the hill. I'd take a bowl of dry food and put it up there. And when I was gone, she'd come in and eat. But then as soon as I got out there, she'd run back and get with the cows. So we just kept coaxing her, and one day, Pauline and I was after a cow on the horse, we was trying to get him in the corral, and finally got her in the corral, and I got off the horse. She came right up, and that was it. My buddy ever since. But she got right in the fray, chasing that cow.
Yeah, she's a pretty dog. Pretty.
How many are out here right now?
Dogs? 2. I got Annie, the little Chihuahua. Then I got Mitzi, the idiot here. She's not an idiot. She's just different.
Okay, which one was it? Cookie, Peanut, that used to go with you, and you'd stop in Canyon City at that time?
Oh, that was Sissy.
Sissy.
Sissy, winter dog.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I probably told you about that, where I used to go. We had the ranch up at Guffey there, and had cows up there in the summertime. I'd go about twice a week up there. Sissy, this little dachshund, would go with me. And we get up there, and they have a lot of Cheyenne gophers. And as soon as I hit that gate, she wanted out. And I'd open the gate, and the way she's going is about a quarter of a mile down to the cabin. And she'd run down that road, and once she got down there, these gophers started torturing her. Cheyenne gophers, they stand up and then they whistle. Man, she'd take after him, get over there and start digging, and one would come up behind her. He'd whistle, and she'd go there. She did that all day as long as I was up there. I'd catch a horse, and ride and check the cows, because there's a lot of timber up there. And they'd shade up during the day, and I'd have to find out where they were and check them, see if they're all okay. Well, anyway, she'd wore herself plumb to a frazzle by the time I got ready to go back home. And I always went down. I'd go up through
Florissant.
Woodland Park and Florissant, and out through that way. And then I'd go back around through Canyon City. So I'd start down, and man, she was shot. She'd just be out like a light going to Kansas City. As soon as I got right down there where the prison is on that curve, I'd go around that curve, and she was wide awake. Go around the curve, and right there was a place called the Burger Baron.
Yeah, it was Mr. Ed's, wasn't it?
No, the Burger Baron.
The Burger Baron.
Yeah. I thought it was Mr. Ed's.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a Burger Baron.
Anyway, I'd pull in there, and she had her feet right up on the dash. Yeah. Because I'd get myself a hamburger and a big pineapple shake and fries, and I'd get her a plain hamburger, child's hamburger, a small order of fries, and a root beer.
Yeah, the root beer is what got me. I don't know what the hell.
I put that hamburger down, and she'd jump down. It was too hot, you know. Jump up, she'd eat a couple of fries and try it again 2 or 3 times, and she'd find that it was cool enough to eat. She'd eat the meat, she wouldn't eat the bread. Jump up and finish the fries, and then she wanted that root beer. And she'd drink that whole root beer. Small one, you know, wasn't real big, but small. That's quite a bit of Ren beer for her. But those people, when I'd pull in there, those people just bust out laughing, you know. See, every time I'd go in there, about twice a week, you know, the same show. And they'd all come, even the cook come running out, yeah.
He's gonna buy that stupid dog a fur.
The root beer. Oh, God, that little dog was hilarious.
Yeah, she was wonderful.
God, yeah. But the one you had here, which one?
Cody.
Was he the one that you made the wheels for? And the buggy?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Cody's. Okay.
Yeah.
Did he have a couple back legs that weren't working?
Yeah, he was in a track. I was in a tractor plowing over there and way over there. And he's laying in there, and a damn jackrabbit jumped up, and he bailed out of that tractor, and I heard him go, "Ki-yipe!" And he came home. And after I got done plowing, I came home, and he's laying someplace. I don't know where it was. I said, "Come on, Cody." Both hind legs, he was skidding them, dragging them. And he'd get out in the gravel. I mean, he was raw from dragging those hind legs. And so I took him down to the vet, and she says, "Well, classic back problem from, you know, dachshunds, because they got that real long back."
Yeah.
So she says, "You want me to put him down?" I said, "No." I said, "He's getting around her." She says, "Can he poop?" And I said, "Yeah." She says, "Well, that's a good sign." She says, "Well, if you want to spend the money, I know a guy in Montana that makes these carts. And you can either get them where their feet can go down in slots, you know, where they can work if they want to, or just get the regular one." And I said, "Well, I'll get him with, you know, slots for his feet to go through." And so I sent off to Montana. He made me give him the measurements, how high it was, how long, and all this, you know. And he made this cart for him, $380. He says, "Now he's got to be strong, or he ain't going to be able to manipulate it." And I said, "Well, he's pretty strong." So I got him down and put him in that little cart and tarped him in, brought him out, and zing, away he went, boy. And he was in there, and I'd take him up when I was irrigating. He fell in the ditch one time, about drowned. You know, he had that on that cart, and he dragged himself out. About 2/3 of the way, and I finally got over and skidded him out. But I noticed he's moving his legs a little bit. And hell, it wasn't a couple of weeks later, and he was on his own. He got straightened out, whatever it was, a back problem. And he was good to go after that. But he had kind of an ornery streak in him. I used to buy him them little rawhide bones, and he'd chew on those, and oh, he'd get them gooey and nasty, you know, just slimy. And one night, he slept with me. And one night, he decided he's taking that bone to bed with him. So he jumped up with that bone. I said, no, you can't bring this bone. So I threw it down. He jumped down, got it, jumped back up, and looked at me like, "Oh, I want this bone." Damn it, and I whacked him on the butt, and I threw that bone out. And he went someplace and hid. And I went to bed and slept, and the next morning I woke up and I kind of rolled like that, and he laid that damn bone, slimy bone, right next to my head. And he's down there looking like, "How do you like that, buddy?" Oh, little devil.
Oh, God, Sam. That is great. Oh, teach you. Yeah, God, okay, I won't throw the bone off the bed. My God.
As soon as you're asleep, I'm going to fix your ass.
He did.
Yeah, tell me they don't think.
No, and they have personalities.
Oh yeah, he had the devil in him, that little sticker.
I don't
He
care
pulled
if you bought
some.
me that cart. I don't care if you help me get nurse me, but I want my damn bone.
Yeah, I still got that little cart.
It's great.
I figured maybe I'd have another one someday to get busted up, but
Yeah.
never had any dachshunds since then. That was the last one I had.
They're good dogs.
Oh, I like them. Yeah. And they got nerve. I mean, they'll tackle some huge stuff.
Yeah. They're no. Yeah.
And that worried me, you know. He's too nervy. But they're all past history. Sissy got killed by a calf, jumped on her. She got deaf and couldn't hear nothing, and about half blind, and I was up checking cows, and she always went with me. She jumped out and was running, this big calf running. Boom! Both front feet on her back. She let out a scream and howl, and I ran over and got her. I thought, you're okay, and she died right in my hands.
That's tough.
But she was 13 years old.
Yeah.
And Cody was, he must have been 12.
Cody had attitude. Yeah, he did.
He came to a horrible end too.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was out with a bush hogging weeds, and there was mice in there, and the mouse come running out and then turned around, seen her, and went running back under the bush hog, and she went under after it. Or he did, I mean.
Yeah, that's not good.
God, that was awful. Then all these other dogs I got around here, I had Butch, the lab, he dumped off.
Oh, yeah.
Some people dumped him off. Missy, they dumped her off up there in the pasture. Annie dumped her off. Found her out in the hayfield.
Yep.
Home for misfit dogs.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I mean, they wander in or whatever, they get dumped off. You just, yeah.
I don't have the heart to
No.
do anything with them. A lot of them just shoot them up here.
I bet.
But Mitzi was hard to catch. She was strange then, even as a puppy. Still had blue eyes. And they dumped her off up there and right alongside the road there, and she was sitting in some sagebrush up there. And I happened to see her. And I tried to coax her and get her, no, it wasn't nothing. So I came home and I went out in the boat and got that big fish net. Went up and netted her. So I got her down there. And she stayed, but she's always been
She's still kind of.
hard to pet. You know, she'll
come around to you and let you pet her for a second.
Yeah, she's a loner.
I don't know where she is.
I don't know. I haven't seen him.
Is your leg hurting you?
Somewhere.
Is your leg bothering you?
No. Nope.
It will tonight, probably be throbbing away
Yeah.
after overexerting it here.
Well, we're going to have to think of a reason to get together again. We'll have a virtual branding or something.
Virtual Brandon.
Well, I may still be here next year. I don't know.
Hell yeah, sell this place. That could take a while.
Could take a while. Might take a whole year, which would be
Yep.
sell it right after next year's branding.
Yep.